Hey guys, it's Jessica, and today I'm going to share a card walkthrough with you on how you can stretch some of the stamps or digital stamps or die cuts that you may have already in your stash. So these adorable snowflakes are actually a digital stamp from Craftin Desert Divas, and they are part of the Gingerbread Lane digital stamp set that they recently released. And I don't know. I have seen a couple people do similar things to this where they do like the white on white. And I had an idea that I wanted to try with gluing the die cuts to my card front first and then doing some ink blending or ink smooshing techniques. So what I did is I actually put the image into the Cricut Design Space software, and I had my Cricut cut them out for me just to save myself some time because it was a lot of snowflakes and I didn't want to have to cut them all by hand. So I put them in the Cricut, I had the machine cut it for me, and then I just glued them right onto my card front, and then I trimmed off the excess around so that my card front was just 4.25 by 5.5, I believe. Then I went ahead and put some Distress ink directly onto my craft mat. I spritzed it with water, and then I am just plopping my card front directly into the ink and letting it mix where it will, just for a random splattery, crazy kind of effect. And you guys know, if you've watched my videos before, that I can't stand to waste the ink on my craft mat. So I had some extra snowflakes that I didn't use for the front of this card, and I just went ahead and swiped them around in the extra ink, and I will use those for another card later. I don't like to waste the ink. I put it down already. I might as well use it, right? Okay, so then I took my heat tool and I went ahead and dried some of the areas that were particularly wet that still had some kind of like standing water on them, just so that my card would dry a little faster, and that I wasn't going to have to wait forever. I'm a pretty impatient person, so I don't like to have to wait. Then I took the scalloped rectangle from the Fancy Frames die from Craftin Desert Divas, and I used it to cut a cute little border with stitch detailing around my card front. Then I took this new to me stamp set, and it's actually still pretty new. It only just came out in October. It's called Timber, and I really wanted to use the deer. Now this is a traditionally fall stamp set, but I used it as a winter card, and the way I did that is I just masked off the part of the stamp that I didn't want to use. So I only wanted the deer. I didn't want the other stuff, so since he's wearing a little scarf, he's perfect for a winter card. But I went ahead and put it in my mini Misty, used the little magnets to hold down my paper, and then I am going to actually mask off the part of the stamp that I don't want to use using some low-tack tape or kind of like Post-it note tape that I have on hand. It's super simple to do this. The nice thing is that it sticks right to your acrylic block or your Misty or whatever stamp positioning tool you have to use. I just plop the ink right on top. I don't personally worry about getting it on the Post-it tape, but if you don't like that, you can try to be more careful. I don't really have time to worry about that. So I'm just going to throw the thing away anyway, so might as well get it inky, I guess. It stamped pretty well, but I wanted it to be just a little bit more crisp, so I went ahead and stamped it again. That's the beauty of having the Misty tool, is that you can go ahead and stamp in exactly the same place again. That little stitch detailing is also from the Fancy Frames die cut set, and it's just a piece of white cardstock that I cut that on. Now, this little orange thing is a stack of full sticky back Post-its. So instead of having like one little line of sticky and the rest of it's free, this is the opposite. So it has one line of not sticky and the rest of it is sticky. And this is perfect for using as masks. Sorry about that little squeak noise. That was my 3-year-old coming into my craft room to tell me that lunch was ready. So you can see here that I am just cutting up the sticky Post-it tape or Post-it note, whatever we're calling it. I don't know. You guys, I have to let you know that I cannot cut anywhere near this fast. This is 8 times faster than I cut it. So just to give you a frame of reference, I am really slow at fussy cutting, so I don't really do masks a whole lot for that reason because it takes me so long. But so don't feel bad if you take a long time cutting things out. That was 8 times faster than I actually cut it myself. Okay, so I went ahead and put my mask on and I did my ink blending. I used faded jeans, and then I came in around the edges with some chipped sapphire. I really like these two colors together, and I liked how the chipped sapphire just gives it that dark kind of finished look around the edges, so it doesn't look so I don't know, when it doesn't have anything around the edges, I feel like it looks really plain, like just random pieces of paper slapped together. So I tend to like to do something to the edges, whether it's a border die or like gel pen accents or ink blending or whatever it is. I don't know, it makes it look more finished to me. So here's for the magic part where you remove the mask and you've got that crisp white color underneath from where you masked it off. And then I just did some Copic coloring, again, super duper sped up so that you don't have to sit here for a million years watching me color these tiny images. But yeah, so I just used a couple of colors, and I'm trying again to make it so you guys can see a little bit better. But when it got to the body, it's really tiny and it's hard for me to color in a way that lets you be able to see it. I'll keep experimenting with that and see what I can do. I did try some color combinations in that third color I did not like at all. So I went with my first 2 colors, and this is probably my favorite Copic color combination right now. And I never thought that these 2 colors would work together, but they are E15 and YR27. And they just, I don't know, it like glows. The color is so pretty. I used it first on a truck image that I was coloring. And I posted that not too long ago, but I made a card for my friends who recently had a baby, and I used the Honeybee Stamps little pickup set, and that, I don't know, the color just, it was like rusty and old, but still bright and vibrant, and I really liked the way that it turned out. So I just finished up coloring the body. I went ahead and colored in the scarf also. I didn't do anything fancy as far as coloring the scarf. I just plopped the color right in. I didn't do any shading at all. And I did realize after the fact that I forgot to color the nose and the mouth of the deer, but I did that off camera later when I realized that I made that mistake. I went ahead and cut a small piece of navy cardstock and matted my little distressed or ink blended panel onto it, and I'm just putting it on some foam dots. I did end up having to move the foam dots around later because I wanted to put some twine and it just wasn't working the way that I wanted it to. So I ended up moving those around. Here I just cut a panel to go behind my background, just for a little bit of added interest. And then I also cut my card base from some white cardstock, and that is 110-pound cardstock. And I just used my bone folder to score it and give it a nice crease. And then I went ahead and mounted everything onto my card base. So here you can see I messed up a couple of times trying to put it on. It wasn't quite centered and I was getting a little frustrated. But you know, everything's not perfect the first time, and that's okay. Okay, so then I went ahead and added my background panel as well, and I like the way that that navy and the white, I don't know, it just kind of makes everything pop a little bit more. It gives it a little more definition and a little more excitement and interest. Okay, so I took some baker's twine that I have on hand, and it was the perfect color. It kind of matches that cracked pistachio color of the background. And I think for the background I used, cracked pistachio and peacock feathers when I did my ink blending. So it matches that cracked pistachio pretty well. I went ahead and wrapped the twine around the little panel there. And if you're interested in seeing how I store my baker's twine, you can check out the video that I'm linking up top. And then I went ahead and added some Nuvo crystal drops in the gloss white. Don't do what I did and go directly to your project. Try it on a piece of paper or scrap or a paper towel first, so you get that little bit of air out. Mine kind of like squirted everywhere, but it was salvageable. It's just not as pretty as it could have been. Okay, so those little tag things over to the right are also from the Fancy Frames set from Craftin Desert Divas. And then I snagged another set from Craftin Desert Divas, which is the Stars and Wishes stamp set. And I was going to piece together some of the words from the sentiments to make a sentiment that I needed. And this is a really good thing to do if you don't have a lot of stamp sets or you don't have the exact sentiment that you need. You can just take words from different stamps that you have and make them into your own sentiment that works for your occasion. So this one, I wanted it to say, "To my dear friend." Get it? Dear friend. So I used the 2, and I realized after the fact that the second set I used had a 4 in it. So I could have used "For my dear friend," and that would have been all the same font, but I didn't really realize it until after the fact, and oh well. Okay, so I did the masking technique that I showed you earlier, but this time I just masked off all the words I didn't want instead of images. And I did "To my" and "Friend." Now, when I did "Friend," I didn't clean off the stamp from when I did "My," and unfortunately it did get on my project, so I need to do a better job of cleaning my stamps in between uses. I usually clean them at the end, and so sometimes I have boo-boos like that. Okay, so in order to cover that up, I went ahead and cut some more navy cardstock. I trimmed the little edges to give it a banner look, kind of like what it'll be mounted on top of. And then I just used my little glue dot runner to mount all of the little pieces, those little fishtail pieces together. I just stacked them right on top of each other so that you could see each color. And then I'm just trying to get an idea of where I want everything to go. Cut it. I just cut in from the center and then diagonally to that center point to get myself that little fishtail banner. And then I took a white gel pen and wrote on the navy blue piece, I just wrote "Dear." So I didn't have the word "dear" in my stamps, or at least in my Craftin Desert Diva stamps, and I wanted to use all CDD products for this card, so I went ahead and just wrote it myself. I trimmed off the excess that I didn't need and tried to line it up as best I could so it covered up the "My," but it wasn't too off-centered. So I went ahead and just, like I said, trimmed that down, used my glue dot runner again, adhered it to my little tag there, and then I glued it down. Oh, I also added some little gel pen accents to help cover up that mistakenly stamped "My" also, and give it a little bit more interest. And that kind of helped so that you couldn't see it as much. And then I don't think anyone will notice. You'd have to know it was there to be looking for it. And there is a look at the finished card. I was really happy with the way that it turned out. I like being able to stretch my stamps and use things in unexpected ways, and stamps that are a certain holiday, it's nice to be able to continue to use those for other occasions throughout the year. So if you're interested in seeing more videos, you can check out the ones that are linked here. Be sure to give the video a big thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to my channel to see more videos like this in the future. And as always, you guys, thank you so much for watching.